Yudches Mishnah base. This Mishnah continues the theme of what we introduced at the beginning of Perek Yudches, and that is that, of course, all the various melachos one cannot do on Shabbos. Chazal were also made certain gezeres midrabanan, and one of them was tirchi yisera, excessive toil, excessive effort on Shabbos, because that was like uvda duchal, it was like a weekday activity. However, in certain situations, Chazal waived those restrictions, and now in our Mishnah we're going to encounter another example of that. In the ratio of the Mishnah we're going to discuss food which was set aside for Meichel Behema, and we'll see in the Sefer of the Mishnah we're going to see how Chazal waived certain restrictions because of Tzar Balei Chaim and the like. So says the Mishnah, Chavilei kash, bundles of straw, v'chavilei eitzim, and bundles of wood, v'chavilei zerodim, and bundles, the article translated of green branches. The Bartanura says, Anofei ho'ilon, lachim, they're sort of moist branches, shemezad osom lemachal behemoths, which you give to animals for food. Says the Mishnah, Im hiskinon lemachal behema, if you have designated them before Shabbos to use them as machal behema, as food for animals, then metalton noson, you're allowed to touch them and to move them on Shabbos. But if you had not designated them before Shabbos, then ein metalton noson, then you would not be allowed to move them on Shabbos. Why? The reason is because they're ordinarily used for lighting fires, for kindling, as firewood. And therefore, since we can't do that on Shabbos, we can't make fires on Shabbos, therefore ordinarily they would be muktzah on Shabbos. So therefore, in order to touch them, to move them on Shabbos, you have to designate them before Shabbos to take them out of their status of muktzah on Erev Shabbos. Continues the Mishnah, you're allowed to take a basket and turn it upside down in front of the chickens. Chickens, they live in their little hutch and they can't quite get down onto the ground. It's a bit too much of a jump. So you want to take a basket, invert it, place it down in front of the hutch, and that way the chickens can sort of step down onto the basket, then onto the ground, or go up, back in. So you're allowed to do that on Shabbos. Now there are two issues here. The first issue is that of bittul kli mehechona. We mentioned before that you're not allowed to take a keli and make it dysfunctional on Shabbos and take it out of its operation. So here it seems that you're being mevatel kli mehechona, because you're taking a keli, the animals are going to be standing on it, and when the animals, since the animals themselves are muktzah, therefore they're going to make this basket also muktzah. So the Bartanura brings the following. The Bartanura says, it's a Tosfos earlier in the Masechta, "Umevatel kli mehechona lo yahava," says the Bartanura. It's not a problem of bittul kli mehechona, she'ein ha'efreichim oimdim alav, because we're talking about a case where the chickens are not actually standing on it. If they were standing on it, you've got a problem. But since they're not standing there, they're sort of just hopping on and off, therefore it's not considered bittul kli mehechona. Now the second issue is also something which we mentioned previously in the Masechta, and again the Bartanura deals with it, and that is whether or not you're allowed to take a kli which is ein kli nitl letzorich dova hanitl. You're allowed to take a keli and move it for the purpose of something else, which is muktzah. So in other words, can I take item A and use it and move it for the benefit of B, for the purpose of B, where B is muktzah? So this is exactly our problem. I'm taking a sal and I'm moving it for the benefit of a muktzah item. So if you hold that you can do that, then of course there's no problem. But if you hold, as the Bartanura says, if you hold ein kli nitl letzorich dova hanitl, how are you going to explain this Mishnah? How can I move this basket? I'm not allowed to move it letzorich, something which is muktzah. Says the Bartanura, muki masnisin betzorich limkoyim shel keli. We must be talking about a situation where I need the mokum of the keli. In other words, ordinarily I cannot pick up this basket, according to this opinion, and take it for the benefit of the chickens which themselves are muktzah. So therefore we must be talking about a case where I need the mokum. Say the basket is sitting over here, and I take the basket not because I want to move it over there, but because I need this place, which I'm allowed to do. And therefore I'm allowed, since that initial tiltul was mutter, therefore I want to go put it down over there, I'm allowed to do that. That's how the Bartanura explains according to that opinion. Okay. Tarnagole shebarcha, a hen, a chicken, which ran away, or is lost, dochin osa achetikonis. You're allowed to sort of push her, achetikonis. The Bartanura says, afilu b'yodayim. Dochin osa b'yodayim. You're allowed to sort of push her back in, even touch the animal, to go back, achetikonis. Says the Bartanura, v'davka dochin. you're allowed to push the animal gently. Avaloi madadin, you can't sort of get behind and walk her, i.e. you take the wings of the animal and sort of walk the chicken back into the coop. Because the chickens have the tendency to sort of jump up, and therefore you'll end up carrying this animal. But geese, and other animals, other birds, madadin, you would be able to sort of walk them in. So that's how the Bartenura explains. Now, surely this is a problem with muktzah. The animals themselves are muktzah. So how can I even be moded the animal? How can I even do madadin? How can I even walk the animal in? So the Mefarshim explain, because we're dealing over here with muktzah and we're dealing with tzar balei chaim. The animal's lost, and therefore you've got to try and alleviate the distress and the pain of this animal. So therefore Chazal waived their restrictions of muktzah in a situation of tzar balei chaim, so long as it doesn't involve a d'oraisa. If it would involve the possible hotzah problems, so then I wouldn't be able to actually do that. And for example, even if there was if helping out the animal over here would involve tzeidah, trapping the animal and containing it so it doesn't sort of get lost further, that would also be mutter. Now, tzeidah we know is a d'oraisa, but tzeidah is only d'oraisa for wild animals. For domesticated animals such as chickens and the like, then that would not involve the d'oraisa of tzeidah, it would only involve the rabbanon. And again, because of tzar balei chaim, Chazal would waive their rabbinic sort of restriction. Continues the Mishnah. Madadin agodim. So you can push the animal back until she enters the coop. Madadin agodim v'siyochin. You're allowed to make calves or siyochin and foals, young horse, to walk b'shus harabim in a public place. The Mishnah in the Gemara doesn't have this lotion of rishus harabim. In fact, the Gemara concludes that you're not allowed to walk the animals in a public place. Okay. But either way, you're allowed to be moeded, you're allowed to be madadin, the agonim and the siyochin. And the Bartenura says, sorry, that's not here, that's not this point. Madadin agonim and siyochin b'shusarabim. Isha, is the next point. Isha, a woman, madad, because, sorry, of course, in the case of madadin, we're not worried that the animal, that the calf or the foal is going to jump up, and like we were with the chicken. So therefore, you can, madadin is okay for agonim and siyochin. Isha concludes the Mishnah, a woman, she's allowed to sort of get behind her young child and sort of take the child's arms and sort of walk with the child to help encourage the child to lift his own feet and to walk himself. Omer Rabbi Yehuda, the Mefarshim explained that Rabbi Yehuda is not arguing with the Tanakama. He's actually explaining the Tanakama. A Mosai, when did the Tanakama say that's allowed? Bizman shehu noitel achas umeniach achas, so long as the child is able to raise one leg and then raise another leg and walk himself. But if the child is sort of schlepping his legs, is just dragging his legs on the ground, then effectively the mother is really carrying him, and that's not allowed. So the Bartenura explains this as follows: she's holding the son's arms, me'achra, from behind him, and the kid is moving his legs and he's walking. That's mutter. Now, because even if the kid were to jump up, or even if she were to carry him, because he can walk himself, it's a chayno sesatzma. Therefore, we're not dealing with an issa d'oraisa. However, shanot lachas meniach achas, kshatinuk mania es raglov meniach achas magmi achas. Aval goyre also, but to drag him, if he's dragging his feet and the mother's just holding their hands, says Rashi, says the Bartenura, shanot also, she's carrying him, which certainly is not allowed on Shabbos. Interestingly, says the Bartenura, concluding this Mishnah, V'chol makom she'omer Rabbi Yehuda a mosai b'Mishnah. Whenever Rabbi Yehuda says a mosai in the Mishnah, lo bo lachlok, he's not coming to argue with the aforementioned opinion, and lefarish divrei chachamim, he's coming to explain the divrei chachamim. Hilchach, therefore, hilchas hakavase, the halacha is in fact like Rabbi Yehuda, who is coming to explain the Tanakama. That is the end of Mishnah Beit.